before all of that, though, we're talking about the latest on what's happening with Strictly with former contestant Edwina Currie. Good morning, Edwina. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. And good morning to Giles. He and I were at college together a very long time ago. He'll remember.
Almost 60 years ago, and one of us hasn't changed at all.
Oh, stop it. Well, I'm sure back in the day you was into dancing and you've always wanted to do Strictly. So you did it in 2011, wasn't it?
That's right. Well, it was my mum that wanted me to do Strictly, I think, because she was always very much into dancing. And I was prepared to give it a go. And I had a good experience, but I tell you what, it was dead hard work. It really was. And that's a big surprise to people. I think some of the younger contestants these days who don't realise that, you know, it does take an awful lot more effort than just kind of washing a footpath or something and putting it on TikTok. I think that's part of the problem.
You were incredible on the show. You were partnered up with Vincent Simone, weren't you? What was your relationship like? Was it all right?
Oh, I love Vincent. He was absolutely lovely, and we became good friends. My husband and I were invited to his wedding in Ireland the following year, which we were very happy to do. He never stopped talking about his boys, his little sausages, as he called them. Vincent was a really good guy and a good teacher, a really good teacher.
So what do you make of all the latest Strictly scandal? What do you make of it all, Edwina?
I think a few years ago, the tone of the programme actually changed. Maybe the producers changed, I don't know. And it became much more competitive. It became much more about very high-quality dancing. The standard rose dramatically. And I'm not sure that was quite the right thing to do. It used to be much more about just entertainment. I think the viewers show when they're voting that they like the entertaining characters, the people who've never danced before. They vote for the Bill Baileys and the Hamza Yassins. They like people who are really trying and showing a good turn of foot. Now, that's entertainment. That's not a dance competition.
Yeah.
But I think it's influenced them to both choose more competitive, you know, big, strong, sexy guys, and they really are fantastic to be near, shall we say. And that's also a big surprise. That's also a big surprise because you don't realise just how physical it is. You're actually not prepared for that physical closeness when you've got this lovely guy's arms all around you all day.
Did you yourself witness any sort of bad treatment from the professionals towards the celebrities, or...?
I had people complaining about each other, and sometimes that was entirely understandable, a bit of a clash of personalities. Brendan Cole and Lulu did not get on. Lulu felt that Brendan did not respect the fact that she'd been in showbiz for a very long time indeed and was at the top of her game. And she said to me, you know, I know how to get onto the stage and I know how to get off it, but in between, I always improvise. I just can't get my head around having to do the same steps over and over again. And Brendan was pretty dismissive of that. Occasionally you get the celebs thinking that, occasionally you would get the professionals thinking that one or two of the celebs were a bit lazy, and they were often right. But actually you just have to shrug and go with it. Anton Dubek got the hang of this, I thought, rather well. He said to me, do you know what? I know I'm always going to be paired with the older woman celeb giving me a bit of a look. And that means I'm not going to win. But actually, he was really kind to all of his contestants, and they all adored him.
It's interesting that you've mentioned Anton Dubek because the attention and focus has turned around to him a little bit. What do you think about the historical allegations, things that happened like 20 years ago, being brought up now? Do you think it's fair?
I don't think it's entirely fair, no. I think we operated in a rather different environment then. We're much more aware of the duty of care. And that's a good thing. I mean, there have been programmes on TV. I'm thinking of, for example, The Jump that only lasted 4 seasons, where people were regularly being injured, badly injured. Yeah. And yet the programme went on for 4 seasons. I don't think we would do that sort of thing now when something like SAS Who Dares Wins comes on. I suspect people are much more carefully vetted and much fitter when they start. They're much more aware of what letting themselves in for. And of course, if you're a celeb, you can always say no. You do not have to do that jump. You do not have to do that twirl. You can actually say, I can't do it, which I often had to say to Vincent.
Well, the BBC have obviously got a right to reply, so we'll read that out. It says, while we would never comment on individual cases, it is well known that the BBC has established a robust duty of care procedures, and if issues are raised, we will always take them very seriously and act swiftly as appropriate. We have long-standing protocols of dealing with injuries if they occur, and that includes contestants receiving all necessary treatment and support as required. It's interesting, isn't it?
So interesting. Thank you so much, Edwina, for joining us. Giles, Isla, what do you make of all of this? In particular for me, the historical complaints.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line between genuine, what would be regarded as abuse, when, you know, we hear of kicking and physical acts. That's completely different from someone feeling they're being... They have to be strict. I mean, this is the thing. These are professionals. And if you look at any sort of athletics, training regimes are very strict. And I think Edwina was right there saying that it has become more serious. So distinguishing the two, but people coming forward with something from a long, long time ago, that's maybe watering down the more genuine claims that are more recent. And I don't know, I always think that victims need to be listened to and heard and thoroughly investigated. But the problem is with the stories like this is there is a media pile on of then there's this person, and we don't know. And, you know.
Well, I remember because Edwina and I were also contemporaries at university with Anne Widdecombe, and Anne fell in love with Anton. And I think Anton fell a little bit in love with Anne. So there's an upside to it as well. But the truth is, it's tough. It is tough. It is. And training for anything is tough. You hear the stories of people from the world of Hollywood, people like Judy Garland, child stars, the tough lives that they were made to lead. And I'm sure, actually, the BBC is very sensitive to this and wants it to work. But also, athletics, sport, dancing, it is a tough life, so it's getting the balance right.
I did ballet, tap and modern from a young age, and I used to have to, and for my point work, I had to put surgical spirits in my feet to toughen up the skin, and your feet would bleed. And I was a kid, I did it till I was about 18. That's just normal. The competitions, the exams, a lot of pressure, and that's just what you went through.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it just depends what you've signed up for. Certain celebrities, I suppose, are signing up for that experience to really go for it in the hard, sort of hardcore nature. And I suppose some people don't necessarily want that, I suppose.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now, listen, we upload new content every day. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.